Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Emily Dean. I'm also with Laura Solon.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah, so it's the first time we've ever had the one man, two ladies combo on the show. I'm quite looking forward to it. Who's going to be Paula Wilcox and who's going to be Sally Thompson? I'll let you sort that out between yourselves.
Okay. There's a slight Girls of the Playboy Mansion vibe as well.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's a bit early in the morning. My face is a bit, it takes a while for it to settle. I've still got some pillow lines down the side of the face. I hate that. They linger more and more as you get older. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like I've... it looks like pleats on the side of my face. It's like, one side of my face in the morning looks like half a red gym skirt. Yeah. Good morning, and...
Laura is a friend of the show as well, really.
Wow, God, I mean, we've gone jingle crazy. She's most definitely a friend of the show. And she has sat in on many occasions, and it's always lovely to see you.
You've got chocolate biscuits this time.
Did we not have chocolate biscuits before?
We don't normally have them for me.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
No.
I've never had a chocolate biscuit before.
No, but you won't... I don't think you do carbs anymore, do
No,
you?
Not really.
No.
Only in moderation.
Yeah, we... I think since we won a Sony in the interim...
Yeah.
And, or was it an antrim? I don't know. But anyway, since then, the chocolate biscuits... They're on the other side of the desk to me, so... Could be anything over there for all I know. I think I saw a tiger prawn a couple of weeks ago. But,
that was left over from when David Essex was here.
Yeah, exactly.
Loves takeaway.
Does he? It'll get better. Don't switch up. Don't switch up. Oh, that's 4 now down to. So I've had a strange old week. I'll be perfectly frank with you. I know. My girlfriend's been away this week.
Oh yeah.
So you get to play at being a single.
Yeah.
I think you've been.
Yes. My partner Dan is away as well. I think actually they're away in the same city. I'm wondering if this is very convenient. They're both in Edinburgh.
No. My girlfriend was. She was in Cheltenham.
Really?
That's what she told me, but now obviously you put doubt in my mind. Has she been seen?
She was in Narm, that's what she said.
Yeah.
In Narm?
Yeah.
But it gives you a bit of freedom, doesn't it?
It does.
I got my Hawaiian shirt out, which, if I wear an Hawaiian shirt when Kat's around, she gives me such... First of all, she has a general blanket rule that she doesn't like a short sleeve shirt.
Is that right?
On me. Right? But an Hawaiian... I've got some. Some I actually bought in Honolulu. Lovely,
I actually do the inverse of that.
Huh?
When my husband's away, I do what I call a bit of a wardrobe cull, and I throw away his T-shirts that I don't like. But they're the
that's not right.
They're the bad T-shirts that have shrunk and risen up, so...
In your opinion, he was very fond of that Linda's Farm.
I'm doing him a favour.
Yeah, that Linda's Farm I think Gaz had turned up on the last night and they did the fog on the tie. Honestly, there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I think I'm doing him a loving act of support.
Honestly, I would go ballistic.
He doesn't notice, ever.
Really?
So they can't be
How many T-shirts does he own, your partner? We call him your
12
partner. Upwards of 12?
Yeah, but I think he's taken the T-shirts with him that he likes. So
but not all of them, surely.
Yeah,
anyway,
most of them.
I wouldn't... God, I think you sound a bit Jerry Halliwell to me, if you don't mind me saying. Do you remember that story?
Why is that Jerry Halliwell?
Apparently, Jerry Halliwell...
Yes.
I'm not one to gossip.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
But this might not be true, can I say, if anyone of a legal nature is listening. But I was told that during a brief thing with Chris Evans, when she fell madly in love with him, that he that's what he got in one day, and there was some new clothes in the wardrobe, and some old clothes had disappeared. And she said, "I think these are more."
I don't buy him new clothes to replace the ones.
No,
away.
But I'm sure if you had Jerry's money, you'd do that as well.
Yeah.
But so what about that? Because she bought me white Calvin Klein pants.
Did she?
Jerry?
Jerry did. Yeah, just out the blue. That was the beginning of...
the end?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, come to think of it, it was just the end. But
so, Frank, I've got this vision of you now. You've cracked out the Hawaiians.
Yeah.
You've got your Club Tropicana shirt on.
Well, I got my best Hawaiian out. I've got the one with the coconut buttons, because you can get the cheap... but you can get the cheap plastic. These are actually made from coconut. Honestly, I remember I went to Dudley Zoo in it. The chimpanzees were throwing themselves against the bars. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but as a sound effect. Can I see if I can simulate it, actually? There's obviously the normal shriek. But then the sound of being winded. So it goes... But you need a bit of the bar as well. I don't know if that's quite in the right...
Very elaborate.
Like that thing, I thought that would ring in a metallic way. It turned out to be some sort of hard plastic thing. It's a fire alarm, you say?
Did you team it with a snug brief, or...
Get out. Go on. Right out. No. Right out. Keep... no, I do... I'm at that point, because we're going to Edinburgh next week. The show moves up to Edinburgh for a couple of weeks next week. 3 weeks, in fact. I'm wearing my not-so-good pants, because I want to take my nice pants with me. You know that thing you have to do before you go away anywhere?
Yeah.
I don't know if girls do this. I'm going to learn so much about girls today. I like this. It's like being a gay best friend. You know what I mean? It's like that. You know that one on Towie? Who does the longest lingering on any... Oh, no, tell me about it.
Oh, Harry.
Is that what he's called? He's... I'm calling him a strange character. And then I also... it meant that I had the freedom to have the telly on loud.
Lovely.
Because I don't know if I am going deaf. But
you need things on louder.
To me a lot. The other night she came and she went, "Oh God, that's loud. You have to turn it down. It's making me anxious." And I end up, I can't hear half the things that have...
You're talking about your shirt. It's very loud, that shirt.
No, but it's got to the point where I'm watching Hollyoaks with the signing man at the front. It's my only hope of getting any dialogue out of it. We'll be back after this, I was going to say. I've never said that before.
No.
In 3 years of presenting this show, we'll be back after this. Who'd have thought professionalism is seeping in like water going into a sinking ship?
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yes, so we were just talking about... I think I'd call it, if I had to give it a term, I'd call it partner oppression. Those little, simple, harmless pleasures that you're just not allowed to do. And it's not necessarily a strict rule, sometimes it's just a look.
Yeah.
Oh, it's often a look. Frank, you've had a text in already, Frank.
What, an 8, 12, 15?
Yes, we have.
I can't believe
this is actually an instruction.
Celebration.
This is an instruction to Laura to be careful throwing the fella's clothes out.
Yeah?
Referring to Mr. Laura as the fella.
Yeah.
My missus threw a shirt of mine out. It had 1,400 quid in the pocket.
Or is that just what she said?
I don't like money in a shirt pocket either.
No.
You think she found it and then said, "Oh no, I threw that shirt out." Yeah. Anyway, speaking of clothes, what do you think about mink coat? Mink coat. Can I just, if ever I betrayed my age,
quid?
It was when I took the image of a mink coat as the height of luxury. Incredibly politically incorrect.
Yeah.
Can I say? I meant fake fur coat.
Yeah, faux fur. He meant
faux fur. Yes. I'd like to know what little pleasures our listeners have had suppressed or oppressed by their partners. Yeah. Why don't they text us on 8, 12, 15? No, that wasn't a rhetorical question. Why don't they? The thing I had, of course, I had completely free range on the TV remote, which is... You realise how many things you watch you don't really want to watch, just as a kind of a compromise. You end up spending a night in, neither of you watching what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Because Kath wants to watch, Come Dine With Me, basically all night.
She likes a reality show, but then so do I.
I managed to do the Nazis a warning from history back to back.
Did you?
That's freedom. Well, obviously not in its content, it isn't, but in the freedom to watch it. Oh, I love the Nazis a warning from history.
Do you know my dad's best friend made that? So we watched that.
I wonder where that was going. know my dad's best friend was a Nazi. Oh, really?
I know I name drop, but not to that degree. No, that's why one Christmas we watched that. Everyone else watched The Snowman, and we watched The Nazis: A Warning from History.
Oh, really?
It's been an unconventional life in many
I
respects.
said there was snow in it when they got to the Eastern Front. Yeah, I don't remember a snowman. There might have been. I like the old. You get the old Nazis on there. Still, they won't have it. They will not have it, even at this stage. You know, this sort of... No, there was one, like, a big white-haired bloke saying, no, but, you know, it was very different, man. You know, like, you had to be there.
It's in the Muppet Show.
You had to be there about National Socialist Germany. No, you didn't have to be there. That was the point. What else did you get? What was your... Did you run free in any other way apart from clothes theft?
My husband thinks that I'm very messy, and he said I was away for 3 months this year, and he said that when I was away, the flat was 70% tidier.
70%?
He put a quantitative value on a qualitative concept.
Did he have a wall chart?
Yeah.
When you got there?
Mess is relative.
70%,
which is high.
It is.
So I enjoy not having things tidied away when he's away. So I don't think it's messy. I work from home, so it's not mess. It's home office debris, I call it.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I got me coloured pencils out and did a bit of drawing.
Did you?
I'll tell you.
Are you not allowed to draw?
I don't know that I'm not allowed. The trouble is my girlfriend is very good at art, and I feel a fool.
Yeah.
I feel a fool drawing around her. And she still got around back because, not deliberately, she tries to encourage me, but I drew an onion. I drew the same onion about 12 times to try and get it right. So one of them I was quite pleased with. So Kath came back and I said, I've been doing a bit of drawing while you've been away. She said, oh, let's have a look. I said, what do you think of that? She said, is it a contact lens? And I thought, well, hold on a minute. I said, well, I said that bit where the brown skin has flaked off and there's like green candy striping. Where would you get that on a contact? I mean, it really hurt me. But I tell you what did make me think. Kath, as Emily knows, she wears spectacles, or she just goes basically partially sighted. But she won't wear contact lenses because she said that she can't see in them properly and they sting her eyes. I'm now starting to think she's been using onions. It explains the whole thing.
This is Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio. Emily Dean, Laura Solon. We were talking about partner oppression. I think we've thought people might text in about the things that their partners won't let them do. It's not really happening, but you never know. It's early. 6 listeners to choose from. You thought one of them...
They're not allowed to listen to the radio.
Maybe that is a problem. Let's talk about onions, just, by the way.
Yes.
It's one of nature's failures, don't you think, the onion?
The onion. Well, don't get me started on onions.
You don't like onions at all, but the onion, you see, I thought what the onion was after... It was after the kind of extra strong mint type thing. But it's horrible, in fact. I mean, who could eat,
Well, this is what I've always said.
Whatever you eat, you have to cloak it with stuff. You have to cloak it with cheese and bread. So you're eating something. You think, well, I don't actually want to taste it, ideally. Can we cover it with other stuff?
Stealth food. Horrible.
Isn't it lovely to be able to talk about mints again on this show? Because we used to be sponsored by Soft Mint.
We had a ban for a while, Laura.
Yeah,
it was a mint ban.
About any mints apart from soft mints.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was encouraged to mention soft mints.
To drop the brand.
Stubbornly, I didn't, and consequently, I never got any free soft mints, which, even though I was promised them by the lady from Soft Mints.
Women lie.
So if they're listening now, those people don't want them anymore. I'll have a nice onion.
Now,
That's
Frank,
what I'll have.
Here's a sentence you don't hear uttered that often. Paul Daniels was in the news this week.
Is this the retro section? Yeah, the link should have been, speaking of things that make you cry. Speaking of brown, sort of flaky things that make you cry.
Onions have hair. I'm sorry. You're incorrect.
Well, I think Paul's got a bit round the...
No, he's sans syrup
I think
now.
just around... I think he's got a couple of, circular bits of hair around the antennae, if I remember rightly.
Sans rug.
Have you seen his antennae?
No.
I mean, he obviously sweeps them back when he's on air.
Sweeps them back.
He
well,
does,
it's funny you should say that.
A good segue.
Well, no, this headline was Paul Daniels, the magician, was taken to hospital with head injuries after being hit in the face by a pizza thrown by the puppet Sooty. Discuss. I like the puppet Sooty.
Yes.
Yeah. As opposed to Sooty.
Well, if they said Sooty, you think, well, who's that?
Who's that?
Is that? I mean, it could be the puppet, but yeah. Well, apparently he got a bit burnt by. It seems wrong to me that Johnny Marbles gets 6 weeks and the bear walks free. I say walks. Sort of the bottom fringes of him drags across the work surface as he exits, is what I'm saying.
Did you see the pictures, Laura?
Yeah, I did, and I read it online, and I liked, what I liked best was a comment at the bottom of the story where someone had written in, "Why can't they just once report the story exactly how it is? The pizza hit Paul on the right side of his head, brackets, not his eye."
Well, I like that.
Catchy journalist.
Actually. And they had a statement, a close associate of Sooty statement. Yeah, we've actually got the... Of course, he's turned to drink since the Corbett dynasty has collapsed. I didn't even know the Corbetts weren't involved with...
No.
They no longer have a hand in Sooty and Sweep. No, I didn't know they'd gone. It's some fella called Richard Cadell.
Yeah, he's a puppet master as opposed to a puppeteer.
Yeah,
is he?
Is there a difference?
It's like a
sinister.
It's like a Freemasons thing, isn't it?
A puppet master. God, that is terrifying. What's going to happen is we'll be watching the television one night. We'll go, and Richard Cadell will appear and say, "You must give me 10 million in diamonds, or small bears bearing pizzas will march into your cities. Here they come now. Listen to their song." Yeah, there you go.
I tell you what troubled me was the pizza itself. Because it wasn't a proper pizza.
It wasn't a child's.
It was a bit Mum's Gone to Iceland, wasn't it? One of those 6 for £1 frozen ones.
No, but it was because it's a child's programme. They used the child's pizza.
Right?
That's from the child's menu. One of my favourite things in any restaurant. I once said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind." No, you can't have that. It's on the child's menu.
I experimented with that as a diet once.
The child's menu.
Just go child's menu because the portions are much smaller.
What a brilliant idea! When I first saw the picture of him, though, I thought. I mean, I saw Paul Daniels' face. I thought it was a proper Nicky Lauda job. I thought, oh my God, it's took the whole face off. I realised it was just the ravages of age.
Frank on radio. Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
Frank, I'm a passive soul, as you've probably already discovered, Laura.
Already, I'd like to debate that.
Yeah.
No, go on.
But I was pushed to breaking point this week.
Oh, God.
You
Really?
saw red.
I saw red, Laura. It does involve some neighbours, I'm afraid.
Right.
My neighbours, as it happens. Would you like to hear what happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Name them.
Wait, you can't just move on.
I might have to be moving on very soon after this.
It's like dark clouds going across an otherwise lovely day. Go on, what happened? Because you've only just moved in.
Well, I've only just moved in. I got back from the show last week, feeling very buoyant and in quite good spirits, only to find...
I was desolate.
large items of furniture outside my entrance. I share my entrance, Laura.
I've heard that. No.
Frank!
I'm liking the sound of it. I've always been a big fan of street furniture.
Oh, it makes me feel. It makes me actually feel physically sick.
Rubbish
Big fat
furniture.
gypsy wedding. It's horrible.
I love it. You know when sometimes you see, if there's a furniture shop and they've got the furniture and the man who owns the furniture shop will come out and sit in one of the chairs.
Just to show how comfortable it is.
I always think, I wish there was more chairs in the street for that. You know, they do it in a hotel corridor. You know, you walk down a hotel corridor and suddenly there'll be an armchair for no apparent reason.
Just in case you get tired halfway down the corridor.
Well, I used to make a point of that. Whenever I was with it, when I was on tour, I'd always walk down the corridor. And even though I'd done the joke 100 times, I'd be with the tour manager or the support act. And look, we'd pass an armchair and I'd go, oh, just have a bit of a... Oh, it's a bit of a slog, isn't it, to that room. I loved it. Anyway,
There's always
sorry.
an office chair as well. There's always a sort of thread, an office chair with foam emerging from it. Anyway, there were bits of furniture, an empty bookcase. Don't like those. Very ghostly empty bookcases.
I find an office chair is like a homing pigeon for a skip. That's what they love to go in a skip.
Well, Frank, that's essentially what they turn my entrance into, these people.
Right. Oh, goodness.
So there was all sorts. There was bin bags, 14, I counted them. All sorts going on. I found the person responsible. He's the man who lives upstairs. He says penthouse, I say attic. Those sort of Shoreditch black specs, you know the type.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, well, it didn't sound like he'd hit you, though, at least.
I shouted up. I said, can you shed any light on these items?
That is
Yes,
a
I
very...
did. Do you like items,
Did
Laura?
you say it in an inquisitive, slightly middle-class tone of voice?
Well, I'm afraid she stopped with that. I like, can you shed any light on this? So what did he say?
He said, oh yeah, we're recycling. I said, recycling? What, putting them in the street? He said, yeah, someone will want them.
He's joking.
He did, yes.
They weren't recycled, they were abandoned.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't happy, as you can imagine. We had a small argument. He left it by saying, it's fine, they'll be picked up tomorrow. Tomorrow, 7:30am, this is a Sunday, set my alarm, I'm not joking.
You didn't.
No, I wanted to know if they were gone. I went out in my bathrobe, specs on, hair a bit like Mrs. Bridges, and upstairs, downstairs in a bun, my sleeping bun. Marched out, they were still there. I went up, I knocked on the door.
Just to get the picture up, was it a hooded bathrobe?
Yes, there was a slight hood.
But the hood was down.
Slightly Yoda vibe, yeah.
You've got to have somewhere to go. You can't go up with the hood up.
I couldn't go out in the street in a bathrobe, I have to say. I respect you for that.
I thought I couldn't up until last Sunday.
I used to have recurring dreams of being out in the street wearing just a pyjama jacket.
I think it, yeah.
I think it would remind me of that.
If a woman is angry and wearing a bathrobe in the street, I think you listen to her.
What that's...
I would listen to her.
Well, my first thought, I probably missed the first couple of sentences thinking, is that a hood or... She got a towel. Is that a towel left over from drying her hair? You didn't have the big... Did you have the big towel? You know that they did the big, like the African
I
lady
wish I'd
type
done
towel
that.
on the head?
I wish I'd done that.
Oh, I love that.
No, but I had the belt tight, very tight, to signify my anger.
Oh.
Anyway, it was the female of the partnership, of the unholy alliance. So, I said, these items are still here, still stuck to items.
I'm glad you stopped with items.
Yeah.
Sundries.
I said, your partner, I said partner, slightly wanted to diminish their relationship. I said,
Suggesting they were living over the broom. Yeah.
Your partner told me these items would have been removed. He said it was recycling. That's not recycling in my book.
Huh.
So,
did you have the book?
I had a book.
It's tipping, that's what it is.
I told her, oh, Frank, it all came out. I went all civil servant. Fly tipping, environmental health came up.
Really?
There was a huge row.
Environmental health from an armchair?
In the
What
end...
if it had rained, Em? That's what I put to you.
What do you mean?
If it had rained that night,
yeah.
they'd have been out in the open, am I right?
Those items, yeah.
So no one would have taken them then.
Exactly. Good point.
Blimey.
In the end, she was cowed by me, Frank. She was
I
cowed
know
by
that
me.
feeling
And
so
she
well.
said, I ended with me, Frank, you'll be delighted to hear, saying, get the screwdriver. It was a bit Tina, get me the axe.
Was it?
Because I told her she had to take the furniture down.
What, she had to dismantle?
Oh, she dismantled, all right. And they've moved out now.
You can recycle it, but it has to go via a flat pack.
We only have this excerpt. This is Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had a text in on 8-12-15. Speaking of furniture in strange places, why are there always white garden chairs involved when you get trouble at a European football match?
I think that could be what the stewards sit. They're not talking about the seats that get ripped up, the plastic seats.
No, I think when there's footage of fights going on there, you do always see white garden furniture being thrown around.
Yeah, it could be steward seating.
Yeah.
A mate of mine him and his mate paid £800 to go and watch England play abroad. And there'd been a riot when they got there. And they got to their seats, there was just two metal spikes. I'm not suggesting for a second that football hooliganism is comical, but I did laugh when he told me the story. It's that decision. You know the thing you think, well, could I make myself comfortable on that? Could I just get on one end of it?
Could I fold a newspaper over?
Exactly. It's a big risk, though, isn't it? It's a very big risk. I mean, what a way to go. We're talking about the neighbours.
Oh, my neighbours from
Emily's
hell.
neighbours. There was a postscript that I...
Yes, there was. Well, I say my neighbours from hell, they've gone, those ones. I should say I've got some lovely neighbours, so I don't want them to think it's them, because it's Joanna and Luke who I actually want to befriend.
Ooh.
I aspire to be their friends. Very glamorous couple.
They sound glamorous, actually.
These two, this pair,
I'm guessing
as I call
it's
them.
Joanna Wally Kilmer and Luke the Evangelist. He's older than her, obviously.
No, they're lovely. This pair, as I now call them, this pair.
Yeah.
So what I did, guys, I decided I was a little worried that they might have their deposit intact. So I thought I might let the owner of the property know.
Oh.
Inform him.
Yes.
Keep him up to date.
Now, he's busy.
You took the East German approach.
He's working with Eminem at the moment. So he doesn't live here.
He works with Eminem.
Yes, he
the
does.
landlord
Yes.
works with Eminem.
Yes. I told you it's an unconventional life, Frank.
It does.
That sounds unlikely.
So he's been informed. Let's leave it there.
Has he? Oh, God. Is some man covered in jewellery going to arrive with an automatic rifle? Oh, I don't like the sound of that. And they've moved out. You sure they weren't just moving out? That's why the furniture was outside.
They were moving out, but they were dumping all their stuff there. That's why they'd left everything there. Expecting
They
me
weren't
to
just
tidy it
moving
up.
out.
And as they know from the note, I also left on their car. I'm not joking. I
right.
wasn't happy.
Scratched it with a key. It
I
wasn't
said, this is
written.
inconsiderate, and I underlined my name 3
Would it
times.
have been... What if they'd put a note on their furniture saying, help yourself? Because some people do that when they dump furniture on the street, and they just put a little paper note on it going, please take this. And somehow that makes it an act of civic charity.
Yeah, but
rather
that's
than...
like 400 quid O-N-O on the side of a Ford Mondeo. I love that. I love people just sell their cars by
a
just
bit of paper in the window.
Oh, I love it. Why bother with... I think I remember having that. There was a people living upstairs from me. I was living in a flat, obviously. That they hadn't just... It wasn't Anne Frank. Anne Frank I found to be a very quiet person when she was upstairs. I went up to complain about the noise at about 2 in the morning. I was really...
In a bathrobe?
No, just a pyjama jacket. I thought that was frightening. And as I walked in, I rang the bell, and they opened the door, and I didn't take my finger off the bell, so the entire conversation was had with the bell ringing. I was so livid. It was like trying to reason with someone during a fire alarm. It's a bit... I went very Birmingham, you know. It's a bit loud, you know. Down. It was like that, but they did turn it down. I used to live next door to a man who had the Doberman Pinscher.
Oh.
It was quite frightening to knock on someone's door.
Yeah,
they had a glass, like a glass front to the door. I'd ring the bell, and ring the bell, complain about the noise, and the light would come on, and I could see the dog coming up the corridor.
Oh, I
through
don't
the
like
glass.
it when you can see them through the glass.
Any dog through frosted glass is terrifying. And it would jump up, and the sound of dog nails against glass. I was on edge before we'd even had the confrontation. It's a very that moment when you actually go around to complain.
Yeah, because if your voice breaks or wobbles just a little bit, that's it. You've lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Your status.
You're quite right. Thanks for telling me that. I'll be on my mind now. Can you just tell me? Oh, dear.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had a text in from Matt in Bracknell.
Matt in Bracknell.
I was once in the middle of a DIY job when my neighbour, who lives one door down, began playing excessively loud music. I went down to complain and was impressed with how cowed my neighbour appeared. It was only when I got home that I noticed I still had my heavy-duty Stanley knife clipped to the front of my belt.
That would do it. I remember there was this is years ago. In a way it's a terrible story, but it's a long time ago. There was a story that somebody that had these loud neighbours, and this bloke had finally snapped, and he'd gone around there with a double-barrel shotgun, and he'd shot. There was 3 neighbours. He shot 2 of them. He shot all 3 of them, But he had 2 barrels, so there must have been a moment when 2 of them was in bits and he was reloading.
Or one
imagine-
threw himself in front of the other.
Well, imagine if you're the one, though, when he's reloading, and I imagine, you know that Oliver Hardy? Whoa! Oh, man. Admittedly not comedy
Frank.
in essence, but, you know.
Well, a news story here that might say novelist Tony Parsons might have a problem from noisy or aggressive neighbours.
Is he the
when
one
he
from
becomes
Just a Minute?
novelist Tony Parsons was going to become Heathrow Airport's writer in residence.
Okay.
Yes, and he's
He's the 80s sort of male lit.
man. Is
it man lit?
Man and boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he 80s or 90s?
90s.
I think
90s.
Well, he dresses 80s, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's deliberate. I mean, he's no stranger to a Fred Perry. Let's put it that way. He's
But,
going to be the
yeah,
writer.
the writer of Heathrow Airport, because apparently airports are places of extreme emotion where people come and go and experiences begin and end, and he's going to use his experiences to write a collection of short stories
About
about the airport.
Can we just have a bit? I'm just going to put a bit of a gold frame around this gag. So like, the frame is now on the wall. Here it comes. Tony Parsons is going to be the writer in residence at Heathrow Airport. That's a bit of a departure for him. Isn't it? And relax.
He doesn't look very happy about it in the photos.
No, well,
I don't know if it's something he'd chosen to do.
I think his general look is rugged. What, you think he was hijacked?
Yeah.
He was on holiday in Cuba. It's a bit of a turnaround, really.
He's actually sitting in an office chair. I don't know if that had been left
Is he?
outside. Yeah, the
Yeah,
picture.
right.
It's got a bit
I
of foam
think it's
coming out.
Awful.
Yeah.
You think he's awful?
I think it's an awful idea.
Oh, dear,
Yeah,
sorry.
right to residence of Heathrow Airport. And they're effectively coach stations, airports.
So where will he live? You'll live in one of those...
The toilets in Terminal 4.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
I live in
No,
the WH
no.
Smiths. WH Smith,
Will he
Terminal
be,
3.
You know, you get like the Heathrow Hilton. He'll be in one of those. won't
Yeah, Heathrow Hilton. It qualifies. The Hilton. It's the Heathrow Hilton.
he? Heathrow Hilton is
Yeah.
the less sexy
Yeah.
sister, of course,
Yeah.
of Paris. So there's going to be an empty bed at the parsonage for a few nights. Sounds like.
I'll get myself down there. Get me 80s glad rags on.
Yeah, I read. He said I grew up reading Arthur Haley's novel Airport.
It took a long time to read.
Very long novel. I imagine there's a massive leather-bound copy on the table before they went to bed
Very
at
large
night.
print.
Old man Parson would say, "Right, look, before you have your baths, but before that, we shall have another reading from Arthur Haley's Airport. Chapter 17. The plane came roaring up," and etc., etc. Little slice from the home life of the young Tony Parsons there. Yeah, I'll have you know that I was offered a writer in residence.
were
Not at Heathrow.
Because there's one at the Savoy, isn't there? Which
That would be a much better job.
Kathy
Oh,
Lett
God,
had
that's a
that,
good
the
one.
pun woman, yeah.
Yes.
Where was your...
I think Faye Weldon was the writer in residence at
Yeah.
the Savoy.
Now that is a good residency.
£1,500 a night suite you get for 3 months.
Is that right?
Where
Well,
were
I
you
was
offered?
offered. I can't remember the name of that. It was quite a posh hotel in London. I was offered,
right?
and they said you can have free room service, unlimited minibar. Obviously, done their research about the teetotal element of my life.
There's Toblerones in a minibar.
Yeah. Can you Google recovering alcoholics before we make any offers? The Toblerones obviously would have been a temptation, but I don't know about you. I find it hard to eat one without hurting my mouth.
Because they're sharp, pointed
Well,
chocolate.
They are. It's
Yeah.
like eating an afro comb. I like to keep one in the boot though, in case I park on a hill.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Yeah, something odd. I had to stay in this hotel for a week. Was the idea? It was quite good money.
What would you have to write?
Was it?
Well, that was the trouble. It involved a sort of there was a tweet element,
Oh,
and I don't do
this
the tweet.
hotel is great.
I don't
Tweet.
do the tweet. Now the idea, they said you can have free run of the kitchens, and
Can run amok.
yeah, chat to our staff, chat to our residents, etc. And then you just get a sense.
Pester
of-
people during their leisure breaks.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'd have had full run of the.
Would you have worn a
the
velvet
the
smoking
corridor
jacket
armchair? Yeah.
and a broad-brimmed hat?
I would have written on a corridor armchair,
Yeah.
a different one every day. with an elaborate little laptop.
You see, this is what worries me about Tony Parsons. He's going to be a pest. He's just going to be nosing around, listening to people's conversations. They're going to want to get rid of him.
He'll be able to help himself to all those bottles of toiletries that people aren't allowed to take on the plane and get confiscated into those bins.
That's true.
What happens to that stuff?
It's going to smell fabulous.
Ray Doc's shower.
Those 80s jackets could do with an overhaul. 469 sounds like his career is taking off.
Loving it.
Colin.
I'm absolutely loving it. Well, speaking of space age things, what do you mean we weren't? Get out. I had a bit of I'm not a big fan of nostalgia. I'm not. I tend not to look back. I've even had the rear view mirror taken out the car. But I had a sudden... my favourite toy when I was a child was a thing called the Dan Dare radio set. You know Dan Dare? I believe I've mentioned him on the show before. He's the pilot of the future.
Bit of a sort of Buck Rogers type.
Well, yeah, sort of. Very British. He smoked a pipe. There aren't that many adventure heroes that smoke a pipe. I don't know if I can think of another one. Yeah. Unless you class Sherlock Holmes, but he wasn't really. Anyway, he... I like the idea of an hero with a... Right there, we have you this time. We have your backy pouch. You fiend. Oh, I need some of that chewing gum stuff. So, I got this thing. What it is, it's like a grey plastic console, right? And it's got two big antennae on top. Oh. And there's a little bleeper that you can bleep Morse code messages.
Sounds like the equipment in Absolute Radio.
Yeah, it's of a similar era, and it's. I mean, I thought I'll get it as an ornament rather than something to play with, but I have twirled a few dials. I must say,
the knobs.
I couldn't resist it. I've sent the odd. I mean, my Morse code is rusty.
Okay,
but then again, so's the Dan Dare set.
Are you sending it to anyone, or is it just
across space?
Yeah.
I tend to, when I send an intergalactic message, I tend to begin to whom it may concern.
Please, madam.
I don't want some alien thinking, oh, it's probably not for me. And then turn into a friend and saying, and then I would have missed out on all that. Lovely bit of alien language. I was quite pleased with that. I might keep that in my act. So yes, it was. It's a very odd thing for me to do, but I went on eBay and I paid 43 quid for this thing. This is something else. When the partner's away, you buy childhood toys back. So, but it's great. It's really...
Is it better than you remember?
Oh, it's just as brilliant as I remember. It's such a basic, simple toy. But there's an adjustable lamp on it that you can... so that the beam goes right. 'Cause you know when you're sending intergalactic messages... You want to watch them go off into the stratosphere. So, yeah, I never know what the lamp was for, but it's great. It's made me...
I find that rather moving, Frank.
Thanks.
I do.
It's made me just think generally about... I say I don't tend to look back, but I did realise... And I don't want to get into one of those whatever happened to White Dog Mess type, nostalgia talk things. But I was thinking, it's been a very long time since I last fell out of bed. As a child, I'd fall out of bed maybe once every 3 weeks, I would say. And there's something amazing. You're sort of, you're asleep.
It's terrifying.
Obviously. It is, and suddenly, I don't know how I did it.
It's life-affirming as well.
But why have I stopped falling out of bed? Do I move less, or...
I don't know why you're looking at me for the answer.
Do I just know now that at my age, if I fell out of bed, that could be it? I could be in a chair forever. And I don't mean outside Emily's house. But I missed that. But anyway, what have you kept childhood toys? Is there anything you...
Well, I've got... I had my Fonzie doll, which I have discussed on this show before, Laura, at length, but he had a lovely little plastic leather jacket and little thumbs that moved upward.
Well, you'd need the thumbs.
Well, exactly.
That's the point of having it.
I had the Fonzie. He was stolen by the school bully, Alex Fruin.
Way.
Yeah. And then...
Whoa. Yeah.
A friend of mine, my friend Jonathan, I don't like to name drop, but it's Jonathan Ross. He bought me the full set, which was so lovely. He bought me Potsy, Ralph Malph, and Richie Cunningham, because I never had them in my childhood. So it was a sense of closure for me. I had a very deprived childhood, Laura. So
only getting the Fonzie.
Yeah, only
the
got
others.
Fonzie.
No cupcake? What about, was it Al who used to go, yup. That'd be a good doll. It's sort of a very bloodhound type man.
Did you have a toy, Laura, that you were fond of?
I just had a rabbit called Cottontail, which I have to this day. All the rest of my toys, my mum threw away my childhood when she moved house. She just put everything in boxes and then left it outside the house.
Threw away your child.
She threw away
Sounds like my neighbours.
Yeah. I've only got the rabbit and some photos of me in a swimming team, which are not what you want.
Well, I don't know. I wish I had a gala experience to look back on. But no, I can't even swim. I'd love to know what our listeners would, what toys they'd like to recapture. But, you know, at the moment, they're not talking to me. It's one of those moments when the whole listening citizenship is in a bit of a sulk, and I don't know what I've said.
They are, 857. He's in Terminal 5, not Terminal 4. Thanks for that, Tony Parsons.
Oh, so he's not as ill as we thought.
This is Frank Skinner
Absolute
Radio.
Frank, we have another text in, 022. I'd like to have Mr. Frosty again. We were talking about toys, your Dan Dare radio set.
Toys we'd like to get back.
And this is
from, not for me.
Well,
Mr. Frosty actually is my pet name for David Williams. That's another story. What is a Mr. Frosty? What is a...
Mr. Frosty used to make ice lollies. You put ice in him. He had a little tummy. It was lovely. I used it. But
that passed me by. Was this around the time of Prince?
No. Hazel says she'd like...
my Alsatian. It was run over in 1984. Poor thing.
Hazel says she'd like to use it to make mojitos.
We put the head on a plaque. I think that was all right. Why don't people do that with pets? They do it with things that they've shot in the forest they had no relationship with.
People do get their pets stuffed.
No, but they don't have heads on a plaque ever.
No.
That would make a nice brooch for a middle-aged lady.
Helen Lederer.
I wouldn't mind Helen Lederer's head on a... That'd be handy. Nice and, it'd be like a stress ball. Keep going.
Well, no, that's it. She'd like to use it to make mojitos. But, Laura was talking about a subject very dear to your heart, Frank, the library.
Yeah.
So just before the Mr. Frosty went, was that the last of the mojitos?
Oh, very good.
There aren't enough James Fenimore Cooper jokes on the station.
I want to hear your library story, because I went to a library this week and thoroughly enjoyed myself, nearly, until the last 10 minutes I had to leave because a man, BlackBerry, kept pinging and forcing me to say, shush! Like an elderly lady.
A BlackBerry kept pinging?
Yeah, like that ping for the emails.
Do elderly ladies say shush?
Yes, they wear bathrobes.
I can exclusively reveal they do, yes.
But I think proper old ladies don't need to say shush. Let's face it, because they tend to be deaf. Their life is a local life.
Generalised.
Okay.
Yeah, but you've got a library story.
Well, I don't really have a...
You have a history.
I'd rather... I've got a bit of a black mark against me on the library front. I'd love to... tell me about your library. I'll come back to that. I'm not easy about it.
Well, I went there to work, because I thought I'd go somewhere...
To work in the library?
To do some writing in the library. And
not to work at the library?
No. Not to do some work experience. I'm not changing careers.
Well, no, it's the sort of thing people would do as a sense of nobility, though, to go and work.
Voluntary
work
in a library.
And, it gives you the chance to
Kudos. Yeah. And I went to do some work, and I was expecting it, because I always thought of them as these repositories for people who don't want to pay for newspapers. There's always quite strange people in there reading the free newspapers. But actually it was a range of normal people. I was quite uplifted by that. The libraries are still thriving in my local area. Mm-hmm. In Battersea, the Battersea Library is full of people using its facilities.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
They'd have been killed off by internet bookstop shops.
What happened was I wrote an article about local libraries, in which my tendency is to be bookish and always to be on the side of anyone who reads. But I find most libraries, local libraries I go into, they're like those, in films when they go into a pirate tavern. People, there's people scarred and everyone stops and stares. I find them quite terrifying.
People with plastic bags. Lots of people with plastic bags.
They are quite Mr. Frosty.
Oh, God. And I found that... if you browse the books, and there was no need to turn the pages, if you just held it open, the bacteria would turn them for you. If I look at three books...
They don't clean those Perspex dust sleeves enough.
They don't. I tell you, I look at three books, I have to go and have a tetanus. That's the way I am. And also, people don't read the books I want them to read.
No.
They read Mills and Boon and crime.
Yeah.
Is what they read.
Large print.
Murder for the gentleman and love for the lady. And
Danielle Steele for the lady.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, I want them to be reading T.S. Eliot or Get Out.
Well, they had quite an extensive and informative. You like the Battersea Library, then you should go there. It's full of,
I've got
full
a
of
ticket.
people reading the right kind of books. So that's what you're implying.
That's exactly what I'm. Can I say on the shushing front? I was once on a bus, and I don't know where this came from, but I hate people biting their nails. It's one of my real pet things, and this guy next to me was biting his nails, and I didn't shush him, but I did. I went
That's worse. That is worse.
I know, but it just came out. It's the sort of thing I would have done with someone I knew, and I didn't know him, and he looked at me like, and he said, "What?" And I said,
did it.
"Yeah." And I said, "Oh, it's really..." Obviously, I backed down a bit.
Yeah.
I said, "It's really bad biting your nails." And then he bit them all the more.
Oh,
Just,
down to the dying
I
of quick.
I toyed with the idea of just flattening out my palm, holding it up, face upwards, and just knocking the bottom of the elbow.
Yeah.
You know that thing that you can... But I didn't. I was too frightened. But it just came out.
Frank on
Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Well, actually, our ratings are great. Just that everyone else's has gone up this month and ours has stayed the same. But ours is still great. Just got to keep just shut up about it. The Ray Jars came out.
Oh, yeah.
Since they stopped ruling India, they've started working out
commercial radio
listeners. Yeah, it's a strange, strange career move. It's what I would call a knight's move.
Frank, we've had an email in from Michael Butterfield.
I like the sound of him.
I do, very much so. It was in response to a
Lovely name, one of those names that makes you smile just to hear Butterfield. Lovely.
Michael Butterfield, lovely. We were talking last week about silent battles, Laura, just to fill you in. And Michael Butterfield has said, "Dear Frank, Miss Dean and the Cockerel," in this case Laura, "my father and I have secretly been deleting each other's recorded programmes on the Sky Plus planner for about a year now."
That's amazing.
I'd never dared to that in our house.
If, for example, I delete one of his numerous Grand Designs repeats, which he never gets around to watching anyway, to make room for a film, he will then proceed to secretly delete one of my shows from the list. I, in turn, delete another one of his, and the vicious cycle continues, and it's never spoken of between us.
Ooh, that is building to something one day. That is going to erupt.
This is from the woman who deletes her boyfriend's T-shirts. I mean, some might say that was a bigger crime. I wouldn't dare.
I give them to charity shops.
My girlfriend has basically clogged up our Sky Plus with Come Dine With Me.
No Nazis.
Something called 3 in a Bed, which I bet is much duller than it sounds.
No, that's a good show.
And a whole series of something called Trawler Men. And she never watches them. I'll
She just
even
wants to know
say,
they're there.
just because I don't know about you, but I love the freedom of watching something that's on my Sky Plus and then deleting. Seeing it when it goes like from 28 to 26, the number of,
Oh, I love that.
or sort of
percentage.
26 to 28, it goes up a bit. I love that. But it's what I would call sort of dog in a manger recording. They're just there to rob me of space. Not there to be watched in any way.
We only have this excellent. This is Frank Skinner
Absolute
Radio.
Frank, I've been reading about packing this week.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why it's interested me. Well, you'll probably be able to guess why that's interested me. The story was that women, it's been revealed, pack 44 items on average to go on a 2-week holiday. Well, I laughed in the face of that, as you can imagine. Are these Buddhist monks? 44 items. That's 4 hours.
Items. 14 items left outside.
Laura,
That's a good use of
I've got
item.
44 items in my handbag currently. But Frank and I, we're going up for the Edinburgh Festival, so I'm packing as we speak. And Frank and I are living together, Laura. I'm quite excited.
You are going to develop partner oppression.
Do you think she'll stop me from doing the little pleasures? I hope she'll be all right with me walking around in just a pyjama jacket.
The freedom.
I think at first...
It's the freedom.
At first, they can't take their eyes off it, and after a bit, they just get over it.
But I'm because I'm quite excited. It's quite fun. It's like being students living in a hall of residence. But we've got Amex. I love it.
Are you packing the aspirational version of yourself,
Are you
or the
packing?
honest self?
You've got it in one. I'm seeing it as a little bit of a honeymoon trousseau. So I might even be investing in some new pieces. A few new PJs.
Yeah.
A bathrobe that hasn't been involved in a domestic incident.
A calming bathroom.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel...
Shall I see you without your makeup?
Oh, you will, yeah.
Blimey.
She'll see you without yours.
Yes.
You have to sign an NDA beforehand, though.
Okay, well, I'll find it. I'll just Google that, and then I'll...
Non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, okay, yeah, I won't tell anyone.
Okay.
No, I'm excited about it.
You don't really know someone until you've lived with them in Edinburgh, they say.
Is that right?
That's what you're
Is that what they say?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God! I'm a little bit. My packing. I've developed some. Because I've been on tours and stuff. I've got packing now to what I would call a fine art, and I have two approaches which I don't do it on the toss of a coin. I just do it on a hunch. And because I want all my clothes to be, coordinated, obviously, while I'm away. So I've got two basic branches to my wardrobe. There's autumnal. So then I pack all my browns, greens and goldens. And then there's what I call secret police, which is my my blacks, greys and blues. And I'll even pick sunglasses. I've got sunglasses with a brown lens and some with a blue. So it's all very carefully planned out. So I'll see how it goes.
It's like pre-packing.
Yeah,
pre-packing.
Well, pre-packing. What other kind of packing is there? Yeah, I tend to pack after my holiday.
But you've arranged your wardrobe so it's easy to pack.
Yeah, no, I just choose it. I know what goes with what, and I stick with that. And my other method I've developed, this is a new thing, but it's worked very well for me over the last, I'd say, 18 months, is what I would call, I take clothes, I deliberately take clothes and footwear in the sort of twilight of their usefulness.
I know what you mean.
So if I've got shoes that are, I don't know if shoes can be on their last legs, but if shoes that are on the way out, or things I think, I don't know, that hole is getting a bit too big, I'll wear it knowing that I'm not going to bring it back.
Like a victory
lap.
Yeah. The kangaroo's graveyard on Kangaroo Island, just off the coast of Adelaide, where they go and they die. It's like that. So I know I'm always coming back with a lighter load, and that's something to look forward to, I think.
Oh, Frank, I can't wait to have a little route through your wardrobe. Got Quan style.
I'm taking a little route. Mandrake, I think, which I find just freshens me up in the morning. So, look, if you want more of this, then you can download Not the Weekend podcast, available from Wednesday morning, actually Tuesday night, but, I've got to follow the official line. And Laura will be joining us for the podcast when we're in Edinburgh. The cockerel will come. He'll be back on the fence. And that'll be lovely. End of line.
This is Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
And she's off! The corner shop is in sight, the National Lottery sign is there, and she's heading right for it! Look at Rebecca. She's making a real difference just by playing the National Lottery. Her numbers help fund Team GB and Paralympics GB athletes, powering their journey to Paris, one ticket at a time. Oh, just look at her go! Unbelievable stuff! Changing lives like it's a walk to the shops.
The National Lottery, changing lives every day. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.